Equa International Television. Today, my name is Sambo Solomon, and today I still have Joyce Jakada.
You know,
I wanted to say I've changed my name today, right?
it's amazing how that's well, I won't say that it's the issue of Nigeria, but sometimes when you look at things that happen, it can be so disturbing that, man, may affect you remembering your name. Well, I understand, especially when it has to do with the new Naira policy. But
Yeah, and then today that's what we are going to discuss. It's just a follow-up to what yesterday we started. So, and then we are live on Facebook and YouTube. You can join us, and then let's talk together. Let's hear your own view, and possibly maybe the policy is not affecting you in your area. Know where you get cash easily, then you let us know so that
I think I need to move to that particular area or that community.
People now want to know whether there is cash in your area.
In fact, I saw a post that says that I bet cash in your area. Like, is there cash in your location? Because people are just looking for the nearest or the location that they can just run to and get cash. Because everywhere you go, like, no cash, no cash, no cash. That's like the language now.
Well, because of this policy, on Wednesday, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank urged the CBN to extend the time limit. The advice of the international organization was in line with the Supreme Court ruling against the Friday deadline. And then the IMF and the World Bank stated that the short time frame for the currency was causing hardship in the country. Joyce.
No doubt, because when you look at what is happening around, the right word to just, or the right adjective to use is just to say people are experiencing hardship.
But what they say is what they are doing. They said is what is obtainable globally. That's the global standard. That's how they do it.
Yes.
So I don't know. Just help me put the two together. They say that's how they do it.
The policy, this new Naira policy, that the news broke on the 26th of October.
Yes.
That's when Nigerians got the news that, we're going to be redesigning our Naira and we need to mop out money that is outside, which is good of any Apex bank, like in a country. You can't, it's irresponsible that you see more than half of the money in your possession outside the banking system. So talking about mopping up this money, it is good, because there are a lot of people out there that have been hoarding billions, and then it is just not a good one on the bank and on the country as a whole. So that's why the policy came up. And it's not just in Nigeria. A lot of countries have done that. It's normal that you redesign money, you mop out, you come up with policies like that. On paper, beautiful, especially when you look at the advantages. People have been hearing of bullion vans, will be hearing of particular individuals hoarding money in billions. And yet some people are finding it difficult to even feed the 3 square meal. You see some people going on 100 or 010. That's 1 square meal a day. And then some people are having billions. Some people are burying money on the ground. People don't have access to even loans because money is outside the bank. So it's just a normal thing. It's obtainable, like you said, everywhere. But what is the bone of contention in this situation? The fact that this news broke out on October 26th. Implementation was to commence 31st of January. So between October 26th, almost ending of the month, people were asked to take back their old notes to the bank. And then the deadline was January 31st. And as the announcement, we heard that by December, new notes are going to be dispensed at the ATM. But contrary to what the central bank said, we went to the ATM, even as at this year, it was still old note that was dispensing. And then even close to the 31st, you still see some ATM dispensing old notes. When you ask them, they say they too, they don't have. So that was what was happening. And on the 31st, the people were expecting, that's the deadline. I know how people rushed Friday, Saturday, looking for where to just disburse, deposit their money. Nigerians adhere to that. I tell you, Nigerians adhere by taking their money to the bank. The 2.7 trillion that we're talking about. In fact, CBN talked about how that within a month they got over trillion naira back to the bank. So what is actually the problem? is the availability of the new notes. When you go out, we have experienced it. You go, you want to. I've not had access to ATM for the past 1 week because of the crowd that are there. When you see how people are choked, people fighting themselves, you can't help but just weep. I watched an interview of a son talking about the video that I spoke about yesterday of a man going naked in the bank because he doesn't have access to his own money. He went to the bank, his wife is sick, he has 2 sons that he needs to cater for, but he can't. Out of the over 500,000 he had, please, even if it's 100,000, give me. Bank are saying you can't have it. It's his money. Old notes not available. In new notes, they said it's not available. This man just went naked and he was crying in the bank. Anybody that has humanity in him will weep seeing that situation. I've seen an old man as well climb the counter and then sat down on it, because I saw a woman as well that was walking down the street talking to herself since morning she has been in the bank and she didn't have access to her money. So like I said, what is actually the problem? The policy on paper is a good one. When you look at what CBN are talking about, curbing corruption, vote buying, kidnapping for ransom, terrorism and all of that, it is a good one. Above all, mopping out money that is outside the bank. But now the problem, after asking Nigerians to deposit their money and they did that, why is the new notes not available? Why are we subjecting Nigerians to untold hardship? When the money is like, CBN came up with policies and they said that there's limit for withdrawal per day. In some cases, they will tell you 20,000 in a week. In fact, at some point, they increased that. But today, you go to the bank, some of the banks is only 1,000 naira. People have shared their story, how that after queuing for hours, it was only 1,000 naira they got. Some banks will tell you just 5,000 naira. After withdrawing 5,000, that is for a whole week. Till another week before you have access to another 5,000 naira. Sambo Solomon, with the fuel crisis, the inflation, the cost of transportation, and all of that, will 5,000 be able to cater for a man that has a family for a whole week? Yes, we are talking about, we have alternative like the mobile transfer and all of that. Let's not talk about the middle class and then the rich, because of course, it is believed that you can operate all these technologies, but how well are these technology in place? When you go to transfer, you go to the market, you buy things, you try transfer, your money is, I tried that, my money was reversed like 3 times. And there's the goods, I can't pick it. And the person cannot because he doesn't know me. I can't transfer, I don't have access to cash. That's the untold suffering. We saw how 3 governors of northern states approached a high court in Abuja, submitting a suit against the federal government, and the high court granted that. The Supreme Court, it was some political parties that actually went to the high court saying that the CBN should not go against its February 10th deadline, because some politicians want to take advantage of the period to just buy votes and all of that. So some of these political parties went to the high court and insisted that the February 10th deadline must stand. But these 3 governors submitted a suit to the Supreme Court and said, this is the problem. For some of them, they will tell you how that most local government don't even have banks. And so the people don't even have access to even deposit money or even get new notes. And then after that, we saw how the Supreme Court came out to say that the federal government, the CBN, and even commercial banks, they are restraining them from that February 10th deadline. And it was an interim injunction. So people need to know that it's not like a decision that the Supreme Court just took. In all, you know how we talked about the Apex Bank being the CBN, the Supreme Court is also the Apex court. And when it makes decision, every other court has to shut or keep mute. So people are asking the question, does that mean that that's the decision after the Supreme Court has said that they should extend it and all of that? It has done? No, they just gave an interim injunction, meaning hold on the policy until we hear from these different suits, like the governors have submitted this, just hold on. That's what Supreme Court are saying. They're not just saying...
Hear from you and hear from the government.
Yes, and then the hearing is slated for 15th of February. So Nigerians need to understand that. It's just an interim injunction that say hold on until we hear, and then we know what to do. They are not making decisions for the CBN, which we know is an independent body. But what is more important, we saw how a lot of people have reacted. Yesterday, we talked about how the controversy was deepening. Political parties are saying, don't go back on it. INEC are saying it might affect our operation because some of our operators are unbanked. And we saw from CBN statistics, over 60% of adults are unbanked. And that's a large number.
Yeah.
So you start thinking of these
60%.
people. And then Sambo Solomon, there are some states in Nigeria that if you go, because of this terrorism, Boko Haram and all of that, Maiduguri, for example, some parts of Maiduguri, there's no network. These people have tampered with the network. So think about the army, people that are around that place. How do they go about it? So the problem is not the policy. For me, if you ask, is the time frame. The announcement came in October, ending of October, and then implementation, January 31st deadline, extended by 10 days. And Supreme Court are saying, giving an interim injunction. So the problem is the fact that, just like the IMF said, that Nigerians, they are considering the hardship that Nigerians are actually going through. Businesses are more like on hold, because for some people, the fact that they cannot pay, even when they try the transfer, it's not going through. They try to get access to the bank, they don't get, few people get the access to the bank, and then the money they get is not substantial. And so people have been sharing concern about this policy. And that is why IMF and World Bank are saying, in line with what the Supreme Court is saying, can you just extend this deadline against the February 10, so that Nigerians will be able to have more access to the new notes. You ask yourself the question, how much did Nigerians deposit in the bank? And then how much did the CBN print in return? So beyond, we've seen on news how that some banks are hoarding like the new notes, or it's being, people will tell you that there are some specific people that this money is being given to. But the question is, did we print enough for everybody? How much did the CBN print? And then is it enough to go through the over 200 million people? If yes, kudos to them. If no, I think more needs to be done. Like you said from the beginning, it's obtainable everywhere. But the time frame, like the World Bank said, is 1 year and more. But for us, it's been a short period of time. People are asking, what is actually the aim? If we say vote buying, are we not seeing politicians going for campaign? Are we not seeing people going for the campaign rally with them? You think it's free? It's not. It costs money. How are they getting the money? How many politicians have you seen, like in the ATM queue or in the bank? You get. So I just hope that at the end of the day, the aim of this whole thing is not going to be defeated.
Yeah, it's the whole thing, got me worried when I was given money, and it's for something that people are involved, and it's for project. Like since 8 o'clock in the morning left, like there's debit, but there's no alert. And then everything is standstill. Now, even if you get the money now, if I get the money now, I'll start disbursing to people that I have to go and do transfer to people and even wait. Like in your case, see your story, that you can't even transfer. Even when you do, you see reversal, or the person will tell you to wait, and you wait in some cases 2 hours for the person to get the alert. Who have that time? The way we are going, then by the time that you put all of these things together, you will find out this issue of production that we are talking, the country will not be productive. Yes, because it will just hold us to ransom. Like for me now, I would just say I'm stagnant, because there's nothing you can do. And this is just our own story. And we have the stories, everywhere. Nigerians are really complaining. You mentioned something that, did you see any of these so-called politicians or rich people, queuing in the bank? They don't care.
I asked the question because I've seen hashtags, how people will say, I stand with Emefiele. like good one. Those people that are hoarding money, like he should deal with the politicians that are hoarding money. That is why I asked the question, how many of them did you see in the queue? Are they not spending money? Are some of these people not still holding campaigns and rally? How are they getting the money? Let's not be fooled. Like I said, it is the right step in the right direction. But like the IMF and World Bank are saying, I know that some people have come out to say it's not their business. Why are they coming up to interfere and all of that? But the concern is the untold hardship on Nigerians. Like sometimes when I pass, I see people and I ask, what's the essence of governance? Is it to just put people in that state? And then for the people that are shouting, I stand with, are you considering the fact that there are people that cannot buy, they cannot sell? That man in that village, the farmer doesn't even have access to the bank. And then the only thing he knows is that, give me this money. There are business people that don't, like they are going to some of these villages to buy. And these people will tell them that I don't have any account. And I cannot.
They deal with cash.
Yes, you have to give me cash and all of that. So if you don't have cash, that means you can't even do the business. So this, for me, like I said, the time frame is something that I think is short. It's short, that's one of it. And then the money in circulation. We don't have enough money. Like I said, you go to some banks, they tell you that you can only get 1,000. You can only get 5,000. That's if you are lucky to have access to that. And some banks by 12 p.m., there's no money again in the ATM. So central banks should come out and like I've been saying, there's need for more sensitization. We need more information. Like, aren't there some monitoring policies in place? Or we just make policies and just sit down and keep commanding any bank that defaults this, any bank, and we keep seeing day in, day out banks defaulting. From the time that CBN are saying that every bank must dispense new notes, when you go to the ATM, you see old notes. And nothing is being done.
We don't hear anything like
nobody's being sanctioned, nobody's being penalized, nobody is being sacked, nobody is resigning. So based on we've seen how CBN has said they have been going down to monitor. Can you bring out statistics? It's a formal organization out from our monitoring on the so date. These are the banks that have defaulted, and give Nigerians statistics with evidence that this is it, and take proactive actions concerning those banks. And I think when they do that, others, if you say it is actually the fault of the banks, they're actually hoarding. We shouldn't just subject people's life to just unnecessary pressure. Some bankers cannot even walk now on the street. I saw a picture of some bankers trying to go through the back door.
Crossing the fence, with
we've seen how that in some states, young people are protesting, blocking the roads and all of that. Amidst all of that, someone was shot. So these are things that lead people to depression or even killing themselves. You have money, but you don't have access to it. So I think we should do enough. Like, we should do more.
I agree with you when you said the central bank, aside just bringing out policy, rolling them out, there should be a mechanism that should follow up the policy and make sure is well implemented. Because you can't just bring something that is something new that concern money. Even if it doesn't concern money, you need to follow up to see that yes, this policy that you bring is really thriving. But with this, we don't hear anybody coming to tell us that this is how much CBN have spent so far, to print this money, and how much so far they have printed, and then how much have they disbursed to all these commercial banks. Because definitely we have this CBN that take inventory, let me put, or gather report of how these commercial banks are operating. Because if you look at it, we have central bank in Jos, and we have commercial banks in Jos. You understand? All of them access the new money through the central bank. So are you trying to tell us the money that you disburse for every day, based on what you are seeing in the state, you think is enough what the commercial banks are dispensing? these are some of the things that we need to ask. Because you can't say, like for instance, let's say 500 million for a day for a state, and then it's out there in the commercial bank, and then you still see people lamenting, queuing from morning to evening, not even having access to even 1,000. Some people are even willing to queue from morning to evening to even have the 1,000 naira.
And they don't have any choice than to join the queue. Why? Because sometimes when you go to some of these POS operators, like they are extorting people. Someone was sharing her story how that she paid 2,000 to get 10,000. Like, in fact, as we speak now, so many POS operators are shutting down because there's no cash. And then for some banks as well, they are closing operations because of the risks too. They are scared. Their life is under threat because we don't have the money. Like we saw, there's a video of a bank that I think was attacked in one of the southern states.
Yes.
So they are also subjected to risks. So imagine that these banks are closing. If we don't do anything about this excruciating situation, this is going to lead to anarchy, and that is what we don't want. The election is just by the corner. The president gave assurance last week saying that Nigerians should give him 1 week. The 1 week is elapsing tomorrow. Are we waiting till the tomorrow? Like from the 1 week, we should start seeing gradual reduction in the pressure. Like we should see that money is being dispensed everywhere. You get, our techs are working. That when you even try the internet, it just goes without any stress. But we are still hoping. INEC have given their complaint. Emefiele have given assurance. The GMD also of NNPC has pleaded and said it is not, they can't just willingly subject Nigerians to suffering. What would they gain? You should give them 7 days. Like I will say, why do we always choose reactiveness instead of being proactive? Must we make people suffer before we do something? Then what would you gain? So all these things keep happening year in, year out. If we have purposeful leaders, we won't be touring this path. So for a minute, let's think about the average Nigerian. Let's think about that woman in the village that is frying akara just to feed her children. Let's think about that man that spends the whole day in the farm. Like, can we start thinking of these people beyond our selfish interests? Let's not see people coming up policies to, like, looking like there's one ulterior motive behind it. Let's always think of Nigeria first. And I think with patriotism, with integrity, with ideas, with humanity, we'll always do the needful. It really pains me. Sometimes I wonder how leaders go to bed, like I always say, knowing well that some people are sleeping at the ATM, hoping that the next morning they will be the first on the queue. And maybe before the ATM start dispensing till 10 o'clock. Why must we keep subjecting people that went out under the sun to entrust us with their votes? I think we can do the needful.
Yes, it is possible. New Nigeria is possible. The change begins with me and you. Yes, it is very, very important to know that we shouldn't give up to what is happening in our country. Yes, at the end of the tunnel, there's light. So let's just keep the hope alive. Thank you. This is Nigeria Now. This is the much that we can take for today. I believe that tomorrow you will join us so that we'll continue with another discussion. And we believe that everything that is going on with this country will soon get over them. Thank you and God bless you.